Good morning. As you can see, it's daylight. And I'm also just now leaving camp. Go figure. The alarm went off and I hit snooze. And then I thought, okay, I'm good. Turned it off. Just kind of stretched for a second. The next thing I knew, it was an hour and change later. So, oh well. Do climb up to get out of camp. So, and I mentioned on the last video, it was a dry camp, which kind of sucked. So I had to conserve what water I have till I get to another water source. But that's not far, so shouldn't be. All right. Switching things around here. Hannah Mountain Trail. I'm doing the 1.9 to Hatcher Mountain. And yeah, then I get to cross Abrams Creek. Awesome. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great day, even with a little bit of a late start. Slept pretty good, and overall, I'm reasonably well rested. Got a shoulder that's screaming at me, or not now, but was last night. Thought I had that adjusted to the point where it would be okay, but I guess not. So I would imagine that, and I hadn't thought about it until last night, but I guess the trekking poles do have an impact. I'm rambling. I'm going to stop. I'm walking. I'll update later. So just hit my first water source, and I know that this route today should have a fair amount of water on at least part of it, but I filled up my clean bottle, and I'm still packing about, I don't know, half or 3/4 of a liter in addition. The lesson last night could have been painful, going into that camp, and it winded up dry. The branch that's supposed to run through there, it shows on the map. I guess water must be a little low. Which with today and tomorrow coming up, I'm probably not going to mind that. But I still am going to carry a little reserve. Carry a little more reserve than I did going into that camp. If I hadn't had that reserve last night, I'd have been in trouble. And I say that I'd had to walk 10 or 15 minutes each way to get water, which is not the end of the world. I would have done it if my need had been critical, but it wasn't. So, but anyway, this is Abrams Creek, and I do understand the consternation about it. It's a challenging crossing. And I'm trying to decide which line is best. I know trail is straight over there. But I'm thinking I like that area right there best. I looked at that with this dip here, but I think in there, that's a little bit deeper than I want it to be. That looks like a deep pool right there. So I think if I go here, sorry, on the camera, that's what I'm pointing. I think if I go here, I'm gonna get knee deep or so, but I think there's a deep pool right over there. I'm not moving the camera with my eyes. Interesting. Okay. Alright, got a button up and do it. I'll video when I'm across. Well, as I've heard people say, that's as much fun as you can have with your clothes on. That's an interesting crossing. It's got some deep spots in it. And I made the mistake of stepping on a rock, and it was one of those where I knew before I stepped on it, don't step there, don't step there. The instant I stepped on it, I started to slide because it was slick. So I tried to adjust. I put my left foot on it, tried to adjust with my right foot, and and so I got wet. That's okay. I was right over in that area right there, and there's one little rock there. Aside from that, I got across it, the rest of it fine. I got knee deep or thereabouts. But thankfully I had made the decision to put my phone in my backpack before I tried to cross. So that's why I still have the phone working. I still had a phone, it just been dead. So that's Abrams Creek. I wondered how it would compare to the Big Creek crossing at the end of Gunter Fort, and it's a little bit worse. It's a bit worse. Neither are passable in high water, no question. But high water, this, as has been said to me, this is probably the most dangerous crossing in the park in high water. I wouldn't attempt it. All right, we're gonna move on and dry out a bit, and then I may try to video some more. And I'm probably gonna stop and eat some breakfast sometime. I'm just a few minutes up the trail. This Patagonia Bandito, I mean, it's the stuff, man. This shirt was dried out when I started up the trail. It may have a wet spot in or two under the arm or somewhere, but this shirt's awesome. So Sawyer, thank you. I want one in green, Sawyer. I want one that's not green. It's something other than green. You hear me? Okay. This is beautiful, a beautiful little climb. It climbs straight up from Abrams Creek, and then turns up Hatcher Mountain Trail, which is where I am now. This trail, I'm on it about 2.7-ish, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, I'm just climbing up, and I didn't have my phone accessible when I had the views of Abrams Creek from up above. That was nice. It was very nice, and you can still hear it talking down there. But there's also, as I've gotten up on this mountain, there's a lot of wind, so you hear that too. But I had to retrieve my phone out of my outside pocket of my pack now that my shirt's dried enough to carry it. So onward. I'm going up a little ridge right now. Just started walking again. I had to stop. I was walking along, and a hill started up, and I mean, it was nothing. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I just hit a wall, you know. And it was this morning with dry camp, I didn't eat breakfast. So I had to stop, sit down on the edge of the trail, fix myself a cup of coffee, and had some breakfast. So I don't like to stop much once I start walking. And I really didn't want to do that, but ooh, look at this. Let me turn you around. You can see this right here. That's a big old bear. That's came from a good sized bear. So anyway, I had to stop. It took me 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't know. Something ridiculous. But you gotta have fuel. So I'm moving on. Sorry about that. You would think I'd do a better job of that. I'm moving on. I've just hit the Beard Cane Trail. I didn't realize really until I started walking again just how much I'd slowed down over the previous hour on Hatcher Mountain. You know, and looking back, is the way those things, it's the way you do on those things. Looking back, I could feel the walls closing in a little bit. And then finally, you know, they just narrowed down to where I hit a wall face first. Thankfully, you know, it wasn't like a complete bonk. It was just, I got a little shaky and I didn't want to go on. And so I've realized I've bonked enough that I recognized I didn't need to push it any further and that I did need to stop and eat, which I did. And thank you, Heather Call, for recommending that Kia brand of oatmeal, superfood kind of stuff. That is awesome. It is fuel to the legs. So as a result, I'm behind. Nothing new, but I'm just trying to walk pretty steady now and make decent time where I can. So onward. You really got to be careful what you ask for, you know. If you want a lowland trail, Beard Cane's for you. If you want a dry trail, it's probably not. I swear it felt like a half a mile there of nothing but one little bog after the other. And I have a sneaking suspicion that part of this adventure is not yet over. So I've mucked my shoes out real good. Got them all nice and corroded. But I do have clean socks, so if I want to put them on, I'm not quite ready yet. I have to make sure I'm out of this first. But anyway, it's pretty down here. The adventure continues. So, Beard Cane obviously is a lowland trail. It's a pretty trail, but you see what so I got all this. Now I'm going around. I'm gonna go, if I can point this out with my stick, I'm gonna go over there and work around this because the trail is right there. So I'm gonna try to work my way around all this. But you know, this is kind of what you get with the lowland trail. When I was planning the trip, one of my plans had been to stay at campsite 11, which is now back behind where I am, a ways behind me. I don't remember how far, but a little ways. And when I started really digging into it, see, this bit's fun. You see this mess right there? People have been stepping in that. So what I'm gonna do is try to go right here, sit over here, get up this. Okay. But when I started planning it, I was looking at, you know, campsite 11 is one of my options. And then when I really started studying the campsite, I realized it was closed. And there's another one, I think campsite 3, I believe is up here ahead of me. I'm not staying there because it worked out. My trip itinerary just worked better to stay somewhere else. Another little crossing. So, you know, you kind of see the map in a sense. Rocks, rock in the center, rock right there, you know. And that's just kind of what you try to do. Wait a minute, missed that one. I can step on that one instead. That looks a little better. This one, and voila, we'll cross that. Now what shows, see, back to first my topic of campsite 11, but once I got down here and saw it was closed, I realized, yeah, it's closed. Why would they need 2 campsites on this trail, you know? I mean, and plus, back there, what I think was the site of campsite 11, it's like, who the heck would want to stay there? Man, it's a boggy bottom. And this, you may not be able to pick it up from the video, but all right in here is just one big freaking bog. You know, when that happens, it happens due to horses, due to moisture, and people. And you find some trails that nothing but people are walking, and that's what you got. That's what happens. So, no complaint about it. Hats off to the Park Service. But one thing that, this is what I started to say before I finished my campsite 11, and don't blame them for closing it story. The one thing that's obvious from what I'm doing on the streams and the bogs and stuff like that is I don't quite have my trail rhythm yet. And with trail rhythm, what I'm referring to is trail rhythm. That's my term. Not a scientific term. Probably should be. I'll recommend that to somebody when I get out of here. But the trail rhythm for me is identifying stuff like this big bog, and automatically, almost, shoo, what's that? That's nice. Busy talking, not paying attention, but here's another example. Well, I'm probably going to land in a bog, but I'm going to try to shift. See, is there a way around it over there? No, that's all chewed up. This comes back to trail rhythm, and just, yeah, I'm going to jump and land right beside that big root, I think. Let's see. Yeah, that worked out okay. But the trail rhythm is identifying those little route arounds quickly. You see them, you tend to see them on the fly once you start moving. And I'm walking around another huge bog right now. But once you have what I'm referring to as trail rhythm, you sense that kind of stuff just a little better. Lord, this one's awful. And get your way around it. This is a 5-minute video. Didn't intend for it to be that long. Onward. So, I'm on the trail. I've got this bit to cross, so that's what, 20 feet or thereabouts. I mean, there's an easy way across. It's not deep. Go over the log, walk down that little bank right there, and then cross over again, and the trail is back behind that bramble right over there where I'm pointing, or that down tree. It's not a bramble. Anyway, fun stuff. I am bidding adieu to Beard Cane Creek. I've just passed campsite 3, crossed it 2 more times, and I think, you know, this is the trail of like 90 crossings. I swear, I think I've crossed it 50 times. Anyway, probably not, but it feels that way. So, anyway, now it's a 6/10 or so half-mile climb, I think, up to the ridge where I get to go up Ace Gap. Awesome. Oh, and this is my, just after my bidding adieu video. Uh, yeah, and I think in the interest of karmic justice, I went through some terrain of no water or very little water yesterday, dry camp and all that. And then today, it's coming from above and below. You absolutely have to love it. Well, I've come up through Ace Gap. I just climbed up from Ace Gap to this little saddle where it starts descending. Not really sure what the trail does from here. I think it's just a lot of ups and downs for the next 5.5 or so. It's okay. Got me off. Right now I'm in the lee, of the hill a bit, so it's kind of protecting me a little bit. Man, the wind has gotten intense. It's blowing rain and all that kind of junk, and you can hear the wind whip through. Starts pushing the rain down pretty hard. So pretty good storm, I guess. Not terrible. I mean, it's not just a torrential downpour, so kind of what it is. So I'll update later. There it goes. Didn't think it turned on. Still walking up the ridge. Finally, you can see some sunlight, which I'm really thankful for that, because that was a combination of being kind of cold and sweating in my rain jacket and all that at the same time. It was uncomfortable. But this is a really beautiful winter view out here. Over there you can't see too clearly through the trees, but that's the main range of the Smokies, main crest over there. And this trail kind of goes down, then it goes up farther than it should be able to, then it goes down again, then it goes back up again. So, anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing for a while, so I'll update later. Well, I'm making progress. I really went through, as the cyclists say, cycling community used to say, I guess they still say it, I don't know. I went through a bad patch. The bad patch typically refers to, a rough spot in a given ride or a given day. And in this case, I don't know, I went through a tough spot there that I still don't fully understand, but certainly the storm and all that didn't help it. And obviously it's since cleared off and is beautiful. I think it was just, it looked like it was coming out of the northeast. So I think that was just probably a cold front pushing in, because it is colder, and I would imagine that tonight will be kind of nippy. But for me, I'm going to be walking for a while, because, man, I really slowed down. I have since eaten a couple times, eaten a couple snacks and whatnot, and I had, at the last minute, I threw some of the Nun hydration tabs in there. More stuff I got from Outdoor Experience. And that was apparently something my system needed. So I seem to have bounced back a bit, but I'm still, a good probably 5 miles from camp, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm coming down to about to hit the junction, the Rich Mountain Trail, I think. And I think that one is 2 point something to the other. And then I think I've got Indian Grave Gap, which I think is like 1.6 after that. gets me to Scott Mountain Trail where campsite 6 is. And Scott Mountain Trail is closed. Yeah, I'm coming down to a road because I'm seeing a car. Actually, yeah, could be a van or an RV, one or the other. So, anyway, I'll be walking for a little while yet, but, you know, c'est la vie. Update later. Not too much I can say about this. I know I have been climbing, seems like 4 days on this climb, but my word, this is beautiful up here. Yeah, I'm running late to get to camp. The sun is around there getting low. I have my light with me. Got my gloves in my pocket. So I'm going to truck on up this climb. I'm going to shorten my day by about just under 2 miles. It's going to add most of it back tomorrow. But the way it feels right now, the best thing I can do for myself is get to camp. So I'm going to go to camp 5 instead of camp 6. As long as I've been walking, you'd have thought I'd have been there, but you know, some days are better than others. It's just the reality of it. So I'm gonna keep climbing until I eventually get to the top of this mountain. Who knows when that'll be. I'll be up there in a little bit. I'm just about there, but get to camp here shortly. Trying to put the light where I can actually see with it and all that. I am finally in camp. Whew. This was a hard day. Harder than I expected, I would say. Got the tent set up. I'm about to go cook me some supper, and I might say a little something on video after that, after I get in the tent and get everything done. But right now, I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna be ready to go to bed.